Here we have our 335i E92 idling, presently running on MHD Stage 1 Plus. Here we've got another Android phone, which is presently logging load max, which I'll explain in a moment. And here we have a tablet, which is running Tuner Pro. In here is loaded a table, and you can see it's showing bank 0, which means it's running off the standard map. What we're going to do now is open some of the flex fuel tables. I'll try and do it with a mouse on my knee whilst balancing the camera. Lambda error counter is presently set at 0, which means it's disabled as the hint here. The limp value is -12.5, and the deviation limit is 0.09 lambda. So what I'm going to do now is turn on the lambda error counter. Now 25 happens to be half a second, which I'll put in real units later. Now that's uploaded to the ECU, but because it's still on bank 0, it's still using the original stuff that's in flash, so I'm going to change it to bank 1. Now we are actively running this lambda error counter system, and if the lambda is more than 0.09 leaner than the lambda target, we'll throw a check engine light, which I'm not expecting right now. So half a second too lean by 0.09 lambda. Now we're still showing load max of 145, and when we go to the load ceiling main, you'll see why. Load ceiling main gasoline, because at the moment we're running 100% gasoline, 0% ethanol. On top right of this table we have 145, which is if you've got less than 3 degrees of knock retard and you're below 1750 RPM, you'll be running load max of 145. Let's change this to, how about 120? Star shows that the map's been changed. We hit here to send it to the ECU in real time. There it goes, and you can see on the phone that load max is now 120. Now you remember the 12.5 here, the negative 12.5. This is the replacement value we use for load ceiling main if there is a lambda lean deviation. So what I'm going to do is put in a value into the load limit table here that will be really obvious when this happens. So let's have 106. Again, send it to the ECU in real time. Still showing 120 because that is the knock level we're presently running at. We're not knocking. However, if I reduce the allowable error for the lambda going lean to 0 and upload that to the ECU, at any time we've got more than half a second continuously where the lambda is any leaner than the target, it will go into limp mode, and then we'll use negative 12.5 as our lookup for load ceiling main, and we should see 106 on the other Android phone, which is still at 120. So let's send this to the ECU, and then we'll await for the check engine light to come on, which could be an unpredictable time because the lambda would normally run richer and leaner than the target. In fact, it's probably not going to do it. So what I'm going to do is reduce the allowable time to 1. So this will be 20 milliseconds for it to be leaner than the target. Oh, it went into limp anyway. There we go. And you can see the load is 106. Check engine lights on, and 106 in the top left. What you'll see now is if I change this 106, you will see it will alter in real time. So let's make it 111. What I'm going to do now is upload it and then move back to the phone. Load max is probably filtered slightly for the logging, which is why it doesn't change instantly. Let's change the limp value instead to -9.5, and we'll put in a value here that we can recognise. Let's have 103. Upload that to the ECU. Now we need to set our limp value to -9.5. And the phone's showing 103. Now what we can do at any time when we're real-time tuning is go back to bank 0, which is the original map that was flashed. And when we do that, all these changes that we've made will not be presently used. Check engine light will go out, and the load max will go back to what the original value was. Switch maps again. Check engine light may take a while to come on because we didn't actually upload this lambda error counter here. If we do it, it should come on straight away. Never do live experiments with cars, animals or children, but clearly it was not even slightly leaner until I moved it to a different load zone for a moment. But that's not surprising, sometimes it will stay slightly richer for a few seconds. Anyway, now we're in limp mode again with our -9.5 degrees target, which tallies with what's in load ceiling main, which tallies with the Android phone. The other thing that we can do when we're live tuning is if we want to reset everything. We don't really have a bank 2, but I've got the system here. If you choose bank 2, it resets to bank 0 flash. But it also resets bank 1, which are all these changes, back to where they were in the car originally. So we're going to say yes. Now in this system we're not reading values from the ECU, so there's now a difference between what's on the screen and what's in the ECU. But the original file is also different with a star by the bin. So what we could do is we could revert to the original file by going to open bin. We don't want to save the old one, we want to load the one we just had originally, and then we bring up these values again and they're all back to where they were in flash. There we go. And you'll be able to see on the phone we're at 145, which is the top right of this table. So what we'll do is we'll put it into bank 1 again, which is live tuning, and unfortunately with my tablet in portrait you can't quite see the total memory, but that's nearly 52 kilobytes of free RAM, so we've got quite a lot of changes that we can make. What I'm going to do now is change this value here to 165. When we send it to the ECU, error bleep to confirm changes have gone in, and then we see it. Apologies for the poor videography skills and ad hoc presentation. It may seem a little bit complicated to use, but once you get the hang of it, it's quite feasible. Thanks very much.